So let's take a look on the second part. The reason that why I want to introduce the cell array for the first part, because for the Excel file, if you want to use the content of the Excel file within the MATLAB environment, you will find out cell array. Cell array is the default format that MATLAB would use to read the Excel file into the MATLAB environment. Okay, so you should know what is the cell array, and then you will know how to access the data stored within an Excel file. Okay, so for this part, I'm going to show you how to read data from the Excel. I will also show you how to write data into an Excel, because sometimes when we are using, the MATLAB code, we can do a lot of the calculation, we can do a lot of the processes, and after that, we need to output our data to the Excel file. So maybe we can easily perform the statistical analysis on the SPS or SAS, okay, SAS, okay. Of course, I just want to mention that MATLAB itself can also perform the statistical analysis. So maybe you don't really need to do this, but sometimes if you want to export your big data into one single file, Excel file could be a very good choice. Or sometimes you may see a CSV file. I think it's pretty similar, okay? So the step number one, you can help what is XLS read. So XLS basically is the extension of the Excel file, right? 副导名, okay. So you can see XLS read is the MATLAB function that can help you read the data from an Excel file. Okay, so you can help it, and I just cropped some description of the help of the XLS read right here. So you can see read Microsoft Excel spreadsheet file. Not only the MATLAB Excel spreadsheet file, it can also read so-called CSV, comma separation file right here, okay? So it can be used for both file types right here. But I just want to emphasize, because I know some of you are using the Mac system. So for read Excel part, I think you won't have any difficulty. But for the later part, write Excel file, it may be a problem, because if you don't have the Microsoft Excel file within your Mac system, of course you cannot do that, right? So for Mac system, I have to say you may have the trouble to do the Excel write thing, but at least read Excel, I think you can do it well, okay? So now you can see the usage of the XLS read right here, okay? I think you simply need to input the file name right here. Okay, this should be the file name, okay? And of course, if you do put the Excel file within the current folder, current directory, you can simply give the file name. It should be fine. But if you put this Excel file somewhere other than the current directory, you need to go. You need to give the full pathway, okay? File pathway for the this file, okay? So this is the input. And you can see the output right here on the left-hand side. You can get 3 output variables right here. The first one, you can see this is actually the abbreviation of the number. This is the abbreviation for the text. And then this is the abbreviation of row, okay? Row means the original data set without any changes right here. So you can see the description. Number can give you the numeric data within this Excel file. The text can give you the text fields within this Excel file. And the unprocessed, that means nothing changed, including both numbers and the text data, would be directly given in this row cell array right here. Okay, so anyway, this is the very first usage right here. But you can see we do have the second usage. Okay, but now I just want you to go for the very first one. Okay, so let's take this Excel file as an example. within the folder that I provided to you, you can see we do have a TCGA GBM. TCGA is an open data set for cancer genomic data set, okay? And then GBM is a type of the malignant brain tumor, glioblastoma. So abbreviation is the GBM. So this is the actual data set that I downloaded from the public database, okay? So this is the Excel file. So if you do have the Excel file within your system, you can double click on this Excel file. Let's just check what do we have inside, okay? What do we have inside? So now you can take a look. It's pretty complex right here. Now you can see we do have several different columns. And the very first column, of course, this is a case. And because of the patient private issue, we do use the some study number right here. This is not the real name for the patient, okay? And you can see the histology. So basically, we can see they are all glioblastoma. So for the grading, it's a grade 4 most malignant brain tumor, okay? And you can see the patient age, patient gender. You can see the survival. How long do these patients survive after the diagnosis, okay? And then there are some different things like whether the patient is alive or not. And you can see additional 3 columns for the genetic profiles right here. Okay, so anyway, it is just some data that I downloaded from the TCGA dataset. And this is the very first sheet, right? You may find out there is another sheet. There is a second sheet named as the features right here. Okay, so you can click on the second sheet. So now you can see, again, a little bit different compared to the first one. Now I put the subjects, or maybe you can say just the cases right here. So if I just expand this one, you can see TCGA 020003, right? This is actually the first case in the first sheet, right? Okay, so now you can see for the first sheet, I put all the data in a row fashion, right? So each patient will occupy the one row. Second row for the second patient, okay, next one for the next patient, right? But for this features sheet right here, you may find out now I change the direction. For each patient, it should occupy one column. Okay, I have to say I did it on purpose. So I can check whether you can understand row and column difference right here. So anyway, you can see this is the first patient. And this is the second patient, 0006, right? 0006, okay. So the third patient is 009. It occupies the third columns right here, okay? And now you can see for the first column, actually, I try to calculate some values or some numbers for each patient. And you can see we do have 1 to 22. We have 22 different values or numbers right here. Actually, these values are calculated from the patient's MRI, magnetic resonance images. But anyway, you don't really need to care about the process, but you just believe we can get 22 different values for each patient, okay? So now if we can understand the format, now you can use this command line to get the data from this TCGA GBM underlying data.xlsx file. Okay, you can do it right now. And you can compare what you can see from the Excel and what you can see for the input or import cell array right here. You can just make a quick comparison. It may take several seconds because the file is large. So just wait, and then you can see the results. You can see the imported variables right here. And you can directly go for this row 1. Row 1, you can double click on it. And you can compare what you can see within the variable viewer with the Excel file right here. You can check whether they are the same or not. Okay, just click on the row 1. I think you can immediately find out that Excel itself, I think, is pretty similar to a cell array, right? So for each entry of the Excel, it's pretty like just a drawer of this cell cabinet, right? It's pretty similar. Although you may say that I cannot see the color, I cannot see the color that I can find within the Excel. Yes, because MATLAB Excel doesn't care about the color, but we can actually get all the data. I mean, the string or the numbers. Okay, the string or the numbers from this Excel file, right? So now think about this. For what we did, what we just did, you can see we only used the very first input for the XLS read, right? So let's come back to the previous one. We do have a second usage. You can take a look. The second usage allows you to put either the second or third inputs right here. Okay? Now we are going to try the second input. As you may see that for this kind of the single one input right here, XLS read will only get the data from the first sheet. You may remember that we do have a second sheet, right? We do have a second sheet named as the features, right? But we just see the data from the first sheet because you didn't specify which sheet do you want to read, right? So by default, MATLAB will only import the data from the first sheet. So now in the next example, just take a look right here. Don't move your eyes. Just take a look right here. Now for the second example, I'm going to ask you to specify which worksheet do you want to read, okay? So for this example, I'm going to ask you to change the output variables. We originally used 1, right? Now please use 2 as the output. Okay, so now you should be able to get the data from these worksheet features. Okay, so do it now. So just remember, of course, you can specify the name of the first sheet. You can do that. But if you didn't do that, by default, MATLAB will go for the first sheet. But just remember, if you want to access the second or third sheet, you need to specify the name. Okay, you need to specify the name. And to be honest, instead of the name of the sheet, you can also go for 1 or 2. 1 represents the first sheet of the Excel file. If you use 2 right here, like a number, it will go for the second sheet of this Excel file. So anyway, just go for this. Okay, so now, again, once you get the row 2 right here, double click on it and just check whether you get exactly the same data compared to the features sheet of the Excel file. I have to say you should be able to get the identical data set, okay? So now I'm going to do the same thing with you. So you can compare these two command lines. The only difference is that now I specify, I assign the sheet name right here, features, okay? Okay, so now let's take a look on the row 2. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take the control back. I'm going to show you one more thing. So I believe now all of you can get the row 2, but I'm going to ask you to compare the different variables right here. We just took a look on the row 1 and row 2, right? I think basically they are identical to the Excel file. But what about number 1, number 2, and the text 1 and text 2? Let's take a look, okay? We take the number 1 example right here. Now check. You may think, what is this? I don't understand, right? We can just again turn on the Excel. I put the Excel right here. Now check. You can see the number right here, 50, 56, 61. Now you can find the identical value right here. Okay? And then you may see NaN. What is NaN? It means not a number, okay? Not a number. So because you can see right here, after this 50, 56, the column of the age, you may see the next column actually the gender, right? And we see in this gender column, they are all string, not value. So you will get these kind of things like not a number, NaN, okay? But after this, you will see survival. It's the numbers for months. So now you can see this. And then vital sign, 1 represent alive, 0 represent death, okay? So now you can see the same thing. But after this column, you may find out there is no more value, no more numbers. And again, before this age column, there is no numbers right here. Even the very first one, this is actually a string because you contain the letters and the digits right here. So actually, this is the character array. So basically, for this kind of the number, do remember, it will only contain the part that are numbers, okay? So do remember, if your file only contain the strings, it won't give you anything. But for this case, it will automatically crop the full data set into this area, okay? Because only this part have the number within, right? So this is numbers. And compared to that, now we take a look on the number 2. So again, number 2 is the data extracted from the features, right? So now you can see, okay, for the features, numbers are all right here. Okay, so basically start from the second row and the second column. They are all numbers. So you can compare the value right here. They are all numbers, right? Okay, so this is the way. And then you can check the type. Number 1 and number 2, they are double array. So you can easily use it by simply, apply the processes. For example, I can ask what is the value for the fourth row, second column, right? You can get the answer just 679, okay? So because this is a double array, okay? So how about TXT? We have mentioned that TXT is the array that only cares about the text, the strings. So again, you can click on it. You may find out for the column that actually, or for the element that actually stored the numbers inside, it will just give you the empty or just a space or nothing right there. Okay, so because this is only cares about the text. Okay, and for text number 2, it's only give you the first column and the first row. So I think right now you may have the idea about what is the difference between row. Row means everything. I don't help you, MATLAB doesn't help you to separate the numbers from the text. It simply just gives you the row. That means unprocessed data. So that means everything. Okay, row to everything. Okay, but if you want to separate the numbers from other type of data, you can go for number 1 or number 2. Okay, just do remember this thing. Let's come back to the slide. Okay, so now what we did, maybe you can just take a look. Think about what is the difference between row 2 and the number 2. Okay, so now you can try to double click on the row 2 and the number 2 and tell me what is the difference, okay? Do it by yourself. You can observe your data. Tell me what is the difference between row 2 and the number 2. You can start with the size. The size are different, right? You can see for row 2, the size is 23 by 118. But for number 2, it only has the size of 22 by 117. Okay? Just one column and one row less compared to the row 2, right? So you can immediately identify the reason because the first row and the first line are text, are characters, are strings. Okay? So basically, for number 2, it only store the numbers. It is a double array, so it will automatically delete or ignore the first column and the first row. So this is the reason why you get a smaller array size for the number 2. Okay. So can you understand me? Okay, good enough. Okay, so let's move on. So now we are going to do something more. We come to the step number 2. Now we can do something more. Since we have this big data on hand, now we can try to screen the data. We can try to actually sieve out or get out the information that we really need. So let's take this example. You can see overall we do have 117 patients' data on hand. Okay, stored within the row 1 or row 2, right? But now I'm going to ask you to find a specific target. The target in this example is female. For example, I want to do the cancer study. I only want to ask what is the survival for females when the females get this kind of the glioblastoma. Okay, so basically I want to screen out the female subjects right here. So right now you can learn this new function. Again, you can see this function is easy to be read. You can see is member. Okay, yes or no, true or false. Okay, so you can see now I'm going to input row 1, but not the whole row 1. I specify all the rows, but only the 5th column. Why? Because you can see this is the cropped imaging of the row 1. The 5th column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th column is gender. Okay, so I'm going to ask is member function to help me check whether within this row 1, the 5th column of the row 1 is the female. So it will give you what kind of the result. You can check it. We can start with this one. If I do these things, just tell me, when I'm doing this kind of a command, row 1 with the parentheses, it will be cell or it will be string. Which one? Do remember, we have mentioned this a lot of times. When you are only use the parentheses, it will give you the drawer. So it will be the cell, right? If you go for curly bracket, it will give you the strings. But anyway, in this case, you can see the answer is 118 by 1 cell. Okay, you do have a lot of the drawers right here. Okay, good enough, right? And for this, again, you can help this is member function. You can give 2 inputs, A input and B input. Right now, the A input would be the 5th column of the row 1, right? But the B input would be our target. The target is the string of female, okay? So you can do this is member, right? Row 1, okay? And again, you only need the 5th column because other column didn't give you the information about the gender. And then for the second input, you will give the female right here. Again, its member will give you true or false, 1 or 0. 1 represent yes, 0 represent no or false, right? Sorry, row 1, not just row. Okay. So now you will see the answer right here. It is a 118 by 1 logical array because it's either 1 or 0, true or false. So this kind of function can tell you for each subject whether it is a female or not. If it is a female, you will get 1. If it is not a female, I mean the content is not female. For example, gender is not female. Male is not female. But start from the 3rd row right here. It is female. So you will see 1 right here. Okay? So I think it's pretty clear, right? So you can get this kind of 1 or 0 array. And then you can use the find because find itself can give you the index of 1. Okay? So you output this kind of the 1 or 0 logical array. You assign this kind of result into this variable, female underline check, right? And now you use find. Find will help you to get the indices of 1. That means these indices represent female. Okay, so I just put this kind of the indices into this female underline and represent the indices, the abbreviation right here. Okay. So finally, what you can do this kind of the thing. You can see the 12th line right here. I try to create a new variable named as female data. Now I'm doing the indexing process right here. I only use the female index to get a part of the data from the row 1. Okay, so what we are going to do right now, I'm going to now switch to the script file. You should create a script file. Again, use your student number, start with a prefix like S or G, and then please key in these 5 command lines inside. And I want you to observe what is the size, what is the dimension, and what is the content of the female data. You can directly see the result. The female data, the size should be 47 by 10 cell array. Okay, so you can do it right now and check whether you can get the same result. Okay, so if you can get the female underline indices on hand, double click on it. What you can see? You can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. What does that mean? That means the 3rd row, the 4th row, the 5th row of the row 1 are the females, right? So these 47 indices right here means the rows of the female. Okay, so you can maybe check it. So it just simply tell you that you can see the 3rd, right? The 4th, the 5th, okay, the 6th, and then jump to the 9th. They are all female, right? So basically, this female underline indices is trying to give you the hint which rows are females, right? So why you can have these kind of things? Because you use the function of find. Find can help you to get the indices, right? The indices or the locations of your target, the females right here, okay? So just try to spend some time to make yourself fully understand the meaning of these 3 variables. I think these 3 variables are that important. You should understand, okay? And the female underlying data would be the final data matrix that only contain the data from females, okay? Okay, so again, I just want to check if you can understand the meaning behind these 3 variables. Just raise your hand. Okay, good. I think always it's always the same group of students raising their hand. Yeah, anyway. So it's about time I should move on. Otherwise, you won't have the sufficient time for your homework. So let me get the control back. So now let's go for the next step number 3. And now we are going to do something. We can try to export. Export means we can output the data, okay? We can output the data as a part of this Excel file. But the very first things I want you guys to do is please turn off this Excel file. Because if you keep this open, then you have no right to overwrite it, right? So you need to close it. Otherwise, you will get the error message that you don't have the authority or you don't have the right to modify or change this file, okay? So if you really want to export or rewrite a specific file, do remember that you didn't open it or you didn't turn it on, okay? Okay, so for this part, what we can do, we can use this function. You can see the pretty similar function. In the previous part, we use XLS read, right? Now you have a very good friend right here named as the XLS write. Very easy to understand, right? It's the function that can help you write data into an Excel file. Okay, I think you can either output or write data into the existed. That means what you already have on hand. for one specific Excel file, or you can actually create. You can actually create a new Excel file. You can do that. Okay, so you can change what you already have right now, or you can create a new Excel file. But in the following example, I'm going to ask you add something into the original Excel file. Okay, you can do that. So let's just take a look. If you help XLS write a function right here, you can again see the description. And you may see the description is pretty similar to the XLS read. However, right now, what you should do, take a look. You don't need the output, right? Because right now I'm going to export my data. So I don't need the output. I'm going to write my data into this Excel file. So we don't need output. And the input you can use, of course, the very first one is a file name. So if the file name is the one for the existing Excel file, then you will overwrite it or you will change the file. Do remember this. But if the file name is the Excel file that you never have within your computer, then MATLAB will help you to create a new Excel file. Okay, do remember this. For the second input, it should be an array. This is the data that you want to write into the Excel file. Okay, so you need to specify the data, and this data can be numbers or can be a cell array. I personally would recommend you to give a cell array. Okay, because again, Excel itself is pretty similar to a cell array, right? So if you can give a cell array for the second input, I think XLS write can easily help you to import it or write it into the Excel file. And the final thing is sheet. For example, in the following example, I'm going to ask you to create a new sheet. So it is the chance for the third input, you can assign a new sheet. For example, female data set. So I can create a third sheet named as the female data set. How about this? Okay, we can do that. But you can see the second usage right here. Actually, you can also identify the range within the sheet. So you can start from the A1 or somewhere. You can also specify the range. But don't worry right now. I'm simply asking you to specify a sheet right here. So again, I have to emphasize you should not open TCGA GBN underlying data.xlsx in Excel right now. Close it. You should close it so you will have the right to do so. Okay. Otherwise, you may see the error messages talking about something. It is not writable because it might be locked by another process, by Excel itself. Okay. So you need to close it. Okay. And another issue is that if you are the Mac user, I think SLS write function won't work. Okay, if you are the Mac user. So I'm sorry for that, but I think for most of you, over 80% of the students sitting right here, you do have the PC system, or you can use the desktop. Then you will know how this XLS write will work. Okay, so basically you can see I specify the file name. This is the same file that we are using right now, right? And we do have this female underlying data on hand. You can just check. This is a cell array with a size 47 by 10, right? I'm going to write all we have within this cell array into the Excel file, right? And I want to specify the sheet name, female. So you can check, we don't have the female right now, right? We do have the TCGA GBN, we do have the features, but we don't have a sheet named as a female. So basically, MATLAB, when you use the XLS write, it will help you to create a new sheet named as a female. Okay, so I can do it right now. Because some of you didn't have the PC system, so I'm going to do this for you so everyone can see what is the result. So basically, first of all, I do check that I didn't open the Excel file right now. And then you can just run this line, okay? So just wait. You can see the busy right here means MATLAB is doing something, so you can wait. Okay. You should be able to see this kind of information. Yeah, let me take the control back, sorry. Just for a second. You can check once it is done, you should be able to see a warning message. Again, this is not error message. This is a warning message. It's just trying to tell you that may I help you to add the specified worksheet. Of course, this one, right? Female. So now you can go back to this file. Now you can click it, open it using the Excel. And now you will have the chance to see you do have the third sheet right here, right? Originally, we only have the first one and the second one. Now we do have a new one. And it helps you to store the 47 by 10 cell array, the information right here, okay? So good enough, right? So please check whether you can do this or not. Let me just get back to you. So any question about the XLS, right? Do remember variable itself is kind of the experience. So you can feel free to change the file name, the sheet name, or even you can specify the range. You can do it by what you want, okay? You can just try to see what is the usage of this kind of the XLS write function. Okay, so I'm going to explain what is the homework today. So basically, it is not hard. Of course, I feel it is not hard, but I know some of you may feel it's pretty difficult. But anyway, I just want you to have the sufficient time to discuss with your teammates. So now, you can see the homework is just single sentence. Please help me to calculate the mean values of the 22 features for all female subjects. You may remember that we do have this kind of the, 47. We do find out these 47 females from the row 1, right? Okay, so we know these 47 females right here. But now, do remember that we do have another sheet, right? We do have the features sheet. And the feature sheet, you can see the row 2 right here. And do remember for each column, it represents the subjects. And for each row, you may find out for any single subject, you will have 22 values. You will have 22 values for this single subject. That means you can use these 22 numbers to describe a subject. For example, for any people sitting right here, we can use 2 numbers to describe you. For example, your age and your height, right? This is 2 numbers, or we say 2 features. But in this case, we have 22 features to describe one subject. Anyway, you don't really need to understand what is the meaning behind these 22 features. But what you are going to do is please help me to calculate the mean of these 22 features across these 47 females. For example, if these 3 subjects are females, just for example, okay, please help me to calculate the mean for each row. So again, you will get the result like the 22 by 1 because you will get the mean value for each features across 47 female subjects right here. Okay, so I think this is straightforward. You don't need to output the results to the Excel. You don't need to do that because I know some of you cannot use the XLS write. Sorry. But what you need to do is please save the mean value as a variable named as the mean feature, okay, or any other name you want to use, either way. Just try to calculate the mean and save it in a variable, okay? I'm going to give you some hints. I think the very first hint is that you need to be aware of, you need to note that the subjects are put in different way. For the very first sheet, TCGA data sheet, I put subjects in different row. So I say this is a row version, okay? But again, for features sheet, I did this on purpose. I just put them in column version. So you need to think about that. It's a little bit different. For one, you go for rows, but for another one, you go for columns. And the second hint is that you should remember what is the difference between row 2 and number 2. I think I can say it frankly, they have one row difference and one column difference between these two things. Okay, so if you do have the 47 indices for female, think about this. If you want to transfer them into number 2, they have one row and one column differences right there. Think about this, okay? So if you really want to calculate the mean value, I personally recommend you to get the value from the number 2, okay? Because for number 2 right here, it is a double array. So you will be much more easier to use the mean. Okay, mean function cannot be applied for cell array, but you can use it on the double array. So there is something that you should use mean. You should call the number 2 array, but you need to think about what is the difference. Now you have the female underlying indices right here, right? But it is actually acquired from the row 1. So think about what is the difference for number 2 and row 2, okay? You need to spend time to think about this. Okay, so I'm going to give the control back to you so you can discuss with your teammates. And I think that should be all for today, okay?